someone made a comment in my recent Velvet Divorce video. Why are you telling us this information? We learned it in school. I mean, I learned a lot in school too, but not much of it stuck. And then someone responded, "You're not her target audience. She makes videos so foreigners can understand us Czechs," which is true. So please remember that when watching this video. I'm just an outsider trying to explain my outsider's perspective of the Czech Republic. And since I am yay close to officially applying for Czech citizenship, if you're a Czech bureaucrat who happens to come across my application, just keep in mind that I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just a stupid American. Tak, ideme dál. This January 13th and 14th, Czechs go to the polls to elect their king. President. The framers of the Czech constitution so revered the idea of a king that they gave the president an enormous amount of power. He's the chief of the armed forces and has the authority to lead the Czech military into all of those imperialistic wars that the Czechs are known for starting throughout history. It says here that he can't really order the military to do anything without the signature of the prime minister. But he can appoint generals. Those need the prime minister's signature too. Ooh, he can dissolve the Chamber of Deputies. That's a nice little power move. That's only if order in the chamber has completely broken down and they've basically taken to throwing feces at the curtains. That power might be more relevant for the American president. The Czech president can appoint judges to the Supreme and national courts. That could really help you out in a pickle. Look what it's done for Trump. The Czech president also appoints the board at the Czech National Bank, which is great, I guess, if you need a loan. The Czech president can veto a bill. But the Senate can override it with 50%. It seems that the only thing that the Czech president is allowed to do without the prime minister or the Senate is to bestow state honors and pardon criminals. I'm sorry, why do y'all want this job? Is it that hard to get an audition for Stardance? Turns out there's almost nothing that the Czech president can do on his own. Even use the toilet. One nice perk of being Czech president is immunity from prosecution. Stick a pin in that one for now. We'll get back to it. So the Czech president is basically a figurehead, a face of the nation. We just need someone to meet with heads of state, not commit too many crimes, not steal any office supplies, and for the love of God, not embarrass the Czech nation. This is a higher bar than you'd think. Although 9 candidates have made it thus far, the polls really show that 3 have left the rest in the dust. Petr Pavel is a retired Czech army general, former chairman of the NATO Military Committee and chief of the General Staff of the Czech Army. And apparently doppelganger for the most interesting man in the world. He's also a legit war hero, saving the lives of 55 French soldiers who got caught in the war between the Serbs and the Croats. Pavel is running as an independent, though he has received the backing of the current ruling coalition Spolu. In this precarious time, with old foes in the east rearing their heads, it might be reassuring for Czechs to have a military man at the helm. Danuše Nerudová is a Czech economist, former university proctor, and the former rector of Mendel University in Brno. Like any challenger, she's running on a platform of criticism of the government's handling of the COVID pandemic and the economic fallout. But come on, that's a bit of a gimme, right? Name a country who handled the pandemic well. Nerudová is running as an independent, and even though she has criticized Spolu for some of their economic decisions, she, like Petr Pavel, has also gained their support. Nerudová is also a woman, and it is therefore relevant to reassure voters that, according to iDnes, her husband, lawyer Robert Neruda, has been trained to cook, wash, and iron. And should his wife become president, he promises not to be jealous of her career. Hard-hitting journalism, iDnes, as always. Andrej Babiš, of Slovak origin, is the former Czech prime minister and founder of the political party ANO, or as many Czechs pronounce it, no. Like Trump, Putin, Berlusconi, and other very law-abiding politicians, Babiš is also a billionaire, one of this country's richest men. And that was before his company, Stork's Nest, fraudulently took subsidies from the European Union. Allegedly, the trial is still ongoing. And the verdict is in. It could not be proven that Babiš had acted in a criminal manner. Talk about timing. We'll see if this not guilty verdict can remove the taint from Babiš's reputation in the eyes of voters. Knowing that the Czechs would love nothing more than to flex on the world stage, electing Babiš president might just be the perfect way to tell the world we Czechs can be just as corrupt as the big boys. Before we get to the comparisons, we should probably identify the biggest problems facing the Czech Republic today. So first, we've got the serious problem of Russia marching back into the neighborhood, which seriously concerns a lot of Czechs and expats. We have extremely high oil and gas prices and an unfortunate dependency on Russia for that gas and oil. And as a result of that, and because of the many ways the pandemic screwed with our lives, Czech inflation is higher than most EU countries. As we say in America, is the economy stupid? And then we print some money and throw it at the economy. So the next president should be oriented to solve these problems. In general, Nerudova and Pavel agree on most issues, to varying degrees. Both Pavel and Nerudova are pro-West, pro-EU, pro-NATO. Babiš is also pro-EU, but he likes to wet his whistle with criticisms of Brussels, making him very popular with those Eurosceptic Czechs. Both Pavel and Nerudova are pro-adoption of the euro as currency, while Babiš has not given a definitive answer on this. Both Pavel and Nerudova are supporters of a Green New Deal and take the environment quite seriously. Babiš pays lip service to the environment. He's all for fighting against climate change as long as that doesn't endanger jobs. So Babiš hopes that the similarities between Nerudova and Pavel will split their potential voter base. But he'll still have to go up against one of them in the second round of voting 2 weeks later. That's quite enough about policy. Let's get to the really important stuff that the Czech media likes to focus on: controversy. As I mentioned, the office of presidency comes with immunity from prosecution while in office, which might come in handy for former Prime Minister Andrej Babiš. What a perk. His company's subsidy scandal has been in the news for years. I've been hearing about it since before I could speak Czech. And considering that this crime involved defrauding the European Union, he might not be the best representative of the Czech nation abroad, just as far as, cultivating trust. He has also been credibly accused of being a former collaborator with the communist secret police. To both of these accusations, Babiš says, "Witch hunt!" That sounds familiar. Yes, it sounds familiar because we Americans know what it's like to have a very polarizing president who's constantly embroiled in scandal and perceived corruption and lawsuits. And it caused everyone in the country to fight with each other constantly. And I get that same vibe around Babiš. Whether you agree with his politics or not, it just doesn't seem like his presidency would unite the nation. Nerudova recently drew criticism for using a crib sheet at one of her interviews or debates where she'd written important information down, like historical dates of when the Czech Republic joined the EU or when they joined NATO. Look, dates and numbers in general can be really hard for economists. Americans are used to their candidates peeking at a crib sheet during an important interview. At least Nerudova had the good sense to use paper instead of her hand. But this mini scandal is somewhat reminiscent of a previous scandal of hers. While she was rector at Mendele University, a plague of plagiarism plagued the university. Actually, it was just a small number of cheating foreign students, and according to the university and to Nerudova herself, she handled the situation as the rules set forth. I personally think this is just another example of the woke Czech media having to give equal time to women's scandals as to the scandals of their male counterparts, even if the scandals pale in comparison. Feminists. Pavel's controversy stems from his registration with the Communist Party during his early military career. So this was pre-1989, and in order to advance to the upper echelons in the military, that meant joining the Communist Party. And because of this, he seems to have the albatross of communism permanently around his neck. I don't want to seem like I'm playing down Pavel's former affiliation with the Communist Party. This is not the same thing as being a young liberal and then becoming a hardline Republican when you get older. But it's hard for me as a foreigner to understand just how strongly many Czechs feel about anyone who has a former affiliation with the party that kept them oppressed for 40 years. Today, he admits that joining the party was a mistake. He says that that's what you did if you wanted to advance in the military. But having had the top dog position at NATO, he definitely went through a complete background check. I mean, he even says that his relatives were stripped naked to find out everything that they knew about his background and his loyalties. Trust me, you don't get to that level of responsibility at NATO without a serious background check, which I can confirm. Someone in my comments actually accused me of being an American spy. You thought you were watching me? I'm actually watching you. As we were watching the presidential debates the other night, Hansa said, "What if someone just answered honestly and said, 'My concrete plan as president is to do everything in my power,' which is almost nothing." While they won't have much real power, the Czech president must have good character, the ability to unite the nation, and represent the nation as the face of the Czech Republic to the rest of the world. The Czech Republic's first president, Václav Havel, had no political leadership experience. And he certainly made some mistakes, but he made first Czechoslovakia and then Czechia appear internationally as a nation of hope and optimism and progress. Hopefully, our next president can do the same. If none of the leading candidates I presented you with today meet that criteria for your vision of Czechia, allow me to present one more candidate for your consideration. Though he is now a Czech citizen, like Babiš, his origins are not in the Czech Republic. He therefore understands the plight of the immigrants, but he will always put his adopted nation, Czechia, first. He's a wartime refugee and knows how to survive a battle. Like Pavel, his military career is long and storied. Like Nerudova, he's got a strong family support system at home, who is happy to provide him with nutritious meals and pick up his poop. 7 years ago, wandering the streets of Ukraine, he asked himself, "Kde je domov můj?" And then he answered himself, "Czechia!" So if you haven't decided on your candidate for president yet, consider Tobík Náhrad. You can support his campaign with the purchase of one of these very stylish tote bags, available at dreamprague.com/shop. I'll put the link in the description box below. Seriously, they're for sale now, and very cute. Should Tobík not go on to win the presidency, all proceeds will go towards his toy budget. He desperately needs a new squirrel. Here's to some new leadership in the Czech Republic. Uvidíme se příště. Ahoj!